Are you frustrated with the market falling down week after week? This is the second week that the market's headed in the downfall. So let's analyze the market and see, is this the end? Is there more resurrection in store for the market? Has the market have more positive gains for the next week? So let's analyze the market technically, see what performed the worst, what performed better, and let's see what's in store for next week. So let's get started. So we'll start off by looking at the 5-minute on the S&P 500 futures index. And as you can see, the market's holding its ground on the 200 period moving average line. It is well below that. That indicates that the market is in a downward position. It's in a downward trend and it's holding on to the 50 period moving average. Now, it did make a low of the day of around the 4,322 mark, but it didn't that restored back to the 4,370 level. So it's still in a decline. So let's look at it more from a high perspective to see what's in store for the rest of the week. Now this is the daily on the S&P 500, and as you can see, it has broken down below the 200 period moving average line. Now nothing to worry here, because as you see in a similar occurrence in the past, the market did break down below the 200 moving period average line, but then resurrected and went up again into the positive. Now the reason for that is the market, especially in the S&P 500, where we've got long-term traders into the picture, they do respect the weekly time frames more. So now that we have looked at the daily, let's look at the weekly just to see what exactly is going on here. Now, as you can see, I'm going to zoom in so you see it a little better. The S&P 500 is now close to the 50 period moving average line. Now, what does that mean for everyone, especially the ones that are looking to pick good bargain bottom hunts? So the S&P 500, if you look back in history, the market would generally respect this 50 period moving average line. So as you can see, this is somewhere around July of 2019. The market did touch the line and then bounce back, touch the line and bounce back. And you'll see this so many times, like it did touch it like maybe on a daily time frame, but then bounce back. So another occurrence here, the market did touch the 50 period moving line, and this is going back to 2016. So what this tells me is that the market does respect the S&P 500, to be particular, respects the 50 period moving average line more than any other time frame. It does respect the 200 period moving line as well, but the weekly time frame is where the long-term traders, the long-term investors seem to be respecting. So now it's hard to really say, is this going to be the end? Is the market going to like stagnant around here and then bounce back? It also depends on a little bit of fundamental news, especially with so much happening with Ukraine and Russia right now. Now, if there is a positive momentum in the conflict resolution between Ukraine and Russia, do expect that there will be a serious bounce back from here, because this is the lowest it could get. And like the market has rarely, if ever, except for the March occurrence where it went below and then bounced back, it rarely ever touches the 50 period moving average line. So that's good news. So what it tells me is that the market may have possibly ended its downfall, or it's close to ending its downfall, and may come back positive. Now, it again depends on the fundamentals. If the fundamentals still showcase that there is good positive momentum in terms of like news that's happening in Russia and Ukraine, it'll push it forward faster. So that's something to keep in mind. So if I was to look at buying something right now, also the stocks do kind of like are married to the S&P 500. So what I mean by that is Apple, or like a lot of the other stocks, just don't go independently on its own, like, making new highs. It may do that for a couple days, but the long-term trend will also follow the S&P 500. That's the reason why I focus so much to give you updates on the S&P 500, and then later on we talk about the stocks. So that's my update for the S&P 500 in particular. It is probably going to rally up from here now that it's met at a very strong resistance in the form of the 50 period moving average line. So more to come, more to look at. If it does fail a breakdown still, like, then this would be the next target that you'd keep in mind, the 4215. Though it's an intraday or a daily time frame target, the market may potentially just touch it and then bounce back again. But keep a close eye on it, see how the market reacts. Now, is it time to buy? Even if you're trading the S&P futures, is it a good time to buy? I would say just wait on and see how the next candle reacts. sometimes, and just something to keep in mind, the market may just rally up on Monday morning, and it does that often. It'll rally up on Monday morning and show you like almost like a 0.5 or a 1% gain, and then like just tank down to below the 50 period moving average. And it's done that in the past. So don't be an eager beaver and just like go first thing on Monday morning and put it in a buy order, but just wait it out. Like maybe Wednesday, Thursday, if you see the candlesticks like hovering over or close to or above. Now another like candlestick pattern to keep in mind is a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. And what that means is, if I look at this, a bullish engulfing pattern means that when it's close to a support line, and this is just an example, it's a 20 period moving average line. The next candle that goes in the positive direction will always be bigger than the previous candle, the red candle. So if we go on the same theory and there's a good positive momentum in the market, and I believe that positive momentum will come only if there is some resolution with the Russia-Ukraine conflict. But if there is positive momentum, you'll see a good high positive week next week, if that happens. If it's not a good positive week, you'll see it just go up and then like tank down. So keep an eye on that. Now that we've looked at the S&P 500, let's quickly look at the Nasdaq futures and see what's that up. Now this is the Nasdaq futures on the daily time frame. The Nasdaq's a lost cause. Technology is tanking. I'm not sure what's wrong. Like the companies are doing well fundamentally, but the technicals are like dragging it to the ground. So hopefully there's more news in store. Nvidia came out with good earnings and still it fell down so much. So it's really the market as a whole is pushing everything down. So it's not like we don't have a Superman or a Batman here to just like resurrect and be the winner of today. It can't pull the entire market up. So that's what's happening here. Technology is tanking. And as you can see, if I look at the daily time frame, and we'll look at the weekly very soon, the market's close to the previous bottom that it had around 25th of Jan. So we would have more anticipation of like the market touching the moving average line or the previous resistance line and then bouncing back. So the weekly time frame will give you a better picture. I mean, as you can see here, the weekly, seems to be more of a lost cause because it's gone below the 50 period moving average line. But do not fear, like if the technology sector has gone below the 50 moving average line, that doesn't mean that everything's lost. The reason being that the S&P 500 trumps the Nasdaq futures because the S&P 500 consists of like 500 companies and Nasdaq's just like 100, but a lot of the companies overlap each other. So the S&P 500 is what will really tell you the market trend and direction. The Nasdaq is a follower, but also something to keep an eye because it's got a lot of big names in there. So do not worry if the market's gone down. If you look back in history, you'll also notice that there have been times where it's gone below the 50 period moving average and then bounced back. So do not worry on that. The S&P 500 is something that you should keep a close eye on. So now that we've seen the Nasdaq, we've seen the S&P 500, let's look at some other futures. So we look at oil. Let's see how oil's doing. Now that all the gas prices have gone up so much and like it's so hard to even get a full tank now these days. So let's look at oil, let's look at gold after that and see what else is in store for the rest of the commodity sectors. So this is the oil futures on the daily time frame, and as you can see, the oil did make an all-time high of 95. Now since then it has consolidated and gone closer to the 20 period moving average. Now this is on the daily time frame. Now I do feel that there is more consolidation that could possibly occur. The reason being that it was in such a great rally, it will need some more of a breathing space. It just can't like go down for 2 days and then again spike up again. So that's just my prediction. And the reason I look at that in that sense is that look at the weekly chart. Now this is what I meant by it needs some more breathing space before it's rallied for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row. Imagine if you had to purchase the crude oil futures. You'd have been making a lot of cash there. But again, like it's like you always hindsight's 2020. So now that oil's in a good trending range, it's a good commodity to go into. Now if you can't afford like buying an entire oil future, there is also micro futures available, which goes by the ticker symbol of MCL. So look it up. It's available on the US market, so you could trade it out and see if you like it. It's I think each contract's around like 1,200 or 1,500 ish. So not too expensive, but it has good positive gains if you are trading in the right direction. So back to what I was talking about, like as you can see, like the market doesn't just like stop for a week and then like be like, okay, I'm done, let's move up again. So it's kind of consolidated for a week, but I do feel like it'll kind of touch the 20 period moving average line on the weekly time frame before it'll decide to go up again. But you never know, like, with the concerns with Russia and Ukraine, this is again new. Now what we're trying to do is mesh the fundamentals with the technicals, because the fundamentals seem to be, what I mean by fundamentals, I mean the conflict is going to overpower the technicals. So another fundamental that would overpower is the inflation numbers. Inflation is such a big fundamental that it's going to like overpower any technical. So even if it's touching like a sweet 200 period moving average, it won't respect that, because the fundamentals get everyone shaken up and they're like, oh, that's too much. Like, I don't care about the technicals. I don't care about the moving averages anymore. I just want to escape the market. So that's something what we're seeing right now, is that the markets don't seem to be respecting all the fundamental traits or all the technical traits. It's respecting a mix of both. So but you'll see more reactions when it comes closer to the key areas of influence in the market. So to summarize, the oil futures, I do see it going down maybe another week or so before it then decides to go up again. So like, don't, if you're intending to buy oil futures right now, I would say just wait it off. Like, see, is it trading before about, if it goes above this and makes a new high, I would still say it's too up in the sky to buy, because it's actually like overpriced. It has to come down to a discount to actually have a better chance of making a profit in terms of risk versus reward. So now let's look at gold and see how that performs. Gold, sweet gold. And gold's like all up in the sky. Like it's kind of like it's like on happy feet right now. It's just jumping up every time. And the reason why it does it is because the market's going down. So people need to invest their money in some commodity. They don't just like to keep their money idle. Because for them, money makes more money. So you don't want to just let it be sitting idle and not earning any interest in your trading account. So what they do is that now that the stock market's performing bad, and not everyone likes to short sell the stock market, they'll invest into gold and look at gold going upwards. And that's what's happening. Like as you saw, like the last few weeks, and now this is the daily time frame for the gold futures. The entire stock market's been like tanking down, but gold's resurrecting itself from the grave. And the reason it's doing that is because people are transferring their money to other commodities. And now that it's at its all-time high, like I would not suggest you buy it right now, because it is overpriced in terms of like what it could offer. Like the only thing I can see it doing now is just kind of breathing a little bit and coming down. So let's look at the weekly just to see again. It was flat for a long period of time, and now it just took off like a rocket. Now where is it going to consolidate? Like you can see the number here. It's like 1907, and that's a strong point where it's almost at it. So I do not feel like the gold's just going to like break it through. If it breaks it through, then yes, you could go ahead and buy it, because then it could probably touch the 1955 mark. But I would say no right now, because there's such a gap in between. It just like spring rocketed from the ground. Hold off on gold. I do see some positive momentum in the market coming through, just because like it's so close to the 50 period moving average line. And if that's not the case and it moves actually higher than this, maybe around Wednesday of next week, you can then looking into like purchasing some gold. So now that we've got a good perspective of like how gold's performing, let's look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's like the evil devil in the side, where they have their own. It's supposed to always go up and not correlate to the market, but we're seeing a lot of it happen recently. So let's see what Bitcoin did as well this week. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's performing exactly like the market right now. It seems to be like in some kind of a relationship with the market. And the reason I say that is, remember we talked about like the market was in a downward spiral. Like Bitcoin also started going down just because the market results are going down as well. So Bitcoin, like it's not going down tremendously crazy as compared to the market, but it seems to be hovering around the 44, and this is the daily time frame for Bitcoin. So it seems to be hovering around the 44,000 to the 35,000. So it's in that range right now. Now, weekly will give you a better perspective. So if you look at the weekly for Bitcoin, it has crossed below the 50 period moving average line, and that's a bad sign. Now, so what happened is the Bitcoin was like all the way up to 65,000. This is weekly. It then started falling down, and this is around the same time when the market started falling. But the market started falling around December, Jan, or early Jan, whereas Bitcoin started falling down November. So Bitcoin's like an early trend setter, I would say. Now, it not always would kind of like follow directly in relationship to the market. So, like for example, when Elon Musk did give his statement that he doesn't want Tesla to accept Bitcoins anymore because it's not environmental friendly and things like that. That's when they kind of separated. Bitcoin went its own way and plummeted to the ground. So it's not always that it's kind of in a relationship, but sometimes they have their breakups as well. But a lot of times it does seem to be trending right now. So what's happened here is that it from its all-time high of 65,000, the Bitcoin's decided to consolidate. It went below the 50-period moving average, which is a bad sign. Like it should actually hold its ground. But it has gone up, and the reason why it's decided to turn again is because now the 50-period moving average line, which was in previously a support, now it's become a resistance. So it's now touching the 50-period and it's trying to go over it, and it's not able to right now. So that's where it is stuck at. So there's two things that could happen. The next candle could either break through, or it may then touch again the 35,000 mark. So again, more to come. We can't really predict. And now this is the monthly, and this gives you a good picture. So see, the market's holding its ground on the 20 period, moving on the monthly chart, and that's around the 37,000-ish mark. And that's the reason why you'll not see Bitcoin mature down a lot from there. It's gone down on a weekly or daily basis, and that's just because of sudden news that comes out. It'll drag it down, but then it goes back up. So I don't see Bitcoin trailing a lot more downside, a lot of downside potential on below the 34,000, because it's got a lot of good support at that range there. So time will tell what will happen, but again, there's a 20-period moving average line that's got a lot of support for it. So now that we've looked at all the different types of commodities in the stock market, especially the US stock market, let's look at some stocks and see what performed well and what performed badly on Friday. So this is the entire market for Friday, and as you can tell, everything was red. There was barely Cisco. Now Cisco had positive results in terms of earnings, and that's the only reason why it went up to 2.58%. But that doesn't indicate that communication sector is the special child and is doing well. But what it did for the technology communication equipment sector is that it got all the other stocks in the same sector to rise up as well. So that's what it does. It kind of brings everyone up, or it brings everyone down. So in comparison, semiconductors did terrible. Nvidia was 3% down. Intel was 5% down. So overall, a pretty red day. I'm trying to look at Tesla. Tesla was down 2%. So now that we've seen bits and pieces of how the stocks have performed, let's look at the weekly and just see how it's performed on the entire week. Now again, on the weekly chart too, it's been Adobe has been 6% down, Oracle's been 6% down, Intel's been 5% for the entire week. Facebook is let's analyze Facebook very soon, and I'll tell you what that what does that mean? Is a good time to buy and things like that. Bank of America is 4% down for the week, so it's Abbott Laboratories is 6% down for the week. Also the oil sector, the energy sector was doing pretty well before, but now that's kind of also decided to go on the decline. And we looked at the oil futures to analyze why, because it was overbought, or it's been in a rise for 7-8 weeks in a stretch. So now let's look at the monthly, because the monthly will give you a better picture too. How's the market trending for the entire week? We're not looking at just daily snippets in time. So Tesla for the monthly, month to date, is gone down 13%, almost 14%, and that's really speaks volume of what's happening there. And Tesla was now Tesla, just to give you a little bit of context, and we'll analyze Tesla and Facebook very soon. Tesla was already rising so high that the value to actually earnings was not in the best place. So the P ratio was extremely high. And that's the reason why now it's kind of correcting itself. Facebook is 34% down in a month. Imagine that. So let's analyze Facebook as well, as I promised you. Adobe and Oracle, the two stocks that are like 9%, 13% down. There's Synopsys, which is 7% down. So really bad stocks there. PayPal, 40% down. So, okay, so let's look into some of the charts and like look at, for all of you out there that are looking to pick bottoms or looking to pick good discount stocks. Now, I'm not saying Tesla is a bad company, but let's see if it's a good company to buy right now as we speak. So let's analyze. The first stock coming up is Tesla and see, is this a good time to buy it? So this is Tesla on the weekly time frame. Again, we're just driving directly into the weekly, and the reason for that is, now this is if you want to buy Tesla for the long term. You want to buy it for 6 months, you want to buy it for a year. So I'm just trying to give you the technical perspective. Is it a good time to buy it? Fundamentally, Tesla's, everyone knows it's like a really good company. It has got a lot of growth potential, but technically speaking, we want to pick the right time to buy. Now, it's always hard to pick. Is this like, you'll never get it right, but the more probability of you picking it at the right time, the better reward potential you have. So speaking of Tesla, it seems to be, this is the weekly time frame of Tesla. It is closing to the low that we've seen in the last 4 weeks. Now, it is in a range, and that's expected. What I would tell you or advise you is, if you can buy it around the 50 period moving average line. The reason being that you can see so going back in history, Tesla touched the 50 period and then bounced back, and it never looked below that. So it's rare ever to see Tesla go below the 50 period moving average line. Again, prove my point. Never ever broke down below the 50 period. Now, this is when Tesla was a nobody, and like it was really like flat line, not doing much. And this is a different phase in Tesla's life, and it actually really took off like in 2020. So I would recommend or suggest that buy Tesla. Maybe if you see it going upwards and like this is the bottom of the range. Now it may kind of stop around the 846, and just because that's on the weekly time frame, that's the bottom, but on a daily time frame it may go lower. So if you can look at it getting it around 818, so write that down in your books. 818 may be a good time to buy it at. Again, that's just my suggestion. Like you do your own analysis, do your own studies, and find the right time. But you would have a higher probability of success if you get it around the 818. Now, if 818 is not in store and it doesn't come to that level, try getting it as close to the 818 as you can. Now, where would your stop loss be? You would put your stop loss below 791 or 790. And the reason for that, and this would be a trailing stop loss. So research about trailing stop losses. If you would like, write in the comments. I'll create a video on how to do trailing stop losses as well. And that's to add it to your order. But around that price would be a good time to buy. So that's just my take on it. Decide if you would like to or no, but that's my thoughts. Now let's look at Facebook, because that's the other one that we were trying to analyze as well. So this is Facebook on the weekly time frame. I'm not even going to dive into the daily. And you can see the big drop. It's just like dropping from the face of the earth. Is this a good time to buy Facebook? No, don't even like go close to it right now. The reason being that it's gone below the 200 period moving average. You don't know when it's going to hit rock bottom, and is this actually like rock bottom for it or no? So maybe keep an eye on like the fundamentals. Like Meta seems to be doing well. Like every like big major brand seems to be investing into Meta right now. The Metaverse is taking off, but is it enough for the amount of investment that Facebook is putting into it? Will it actually make profit? It may in the long run if it's a successful venture, but right now it seems to be struggling, and it's gone down like a lot, 38%. So pause, don't look at Facebook right now. That's just my suggestion. Wait till it kind of like goes up. So what it would do now, and just my thought is, after it decides it's had enough of downfall, it'll kind of start coming up, but it's going to like the 200 period moving average line will play a big resistance in its path forward. So if it breaks above the 200 period moving line, then you could decide to buy. So now hold off, at least in my opinion. The next is PayPal, and the reason why we looked at PayPal is because PayPal again fell down 40%. So is it a good time to buy it, technically speaking? So a lot of value investors that don't really care of like market timing and market pickings will like say, okay, I want to buy it now, I'm going to keep it for 10 years, I'll make a profit. And a lot of people would be successful in doing that too. But is that 10 years a good investment of your money and capital and just keeping it there and waiting for it to come out and give you some reward someday? Or you time it well and like, keep it into good, allocated correctly and accurately so it makes more money for you. So again, investors versus traders, you decide what's the best for you. So PayPal, it's been doing badly fundamentally. It's now charging customers for idle time where they do not transact anything with PayPal. And with so many options out there, it's not a niche anymore. So that's showcased in its stock. It's been down since July, and it's just like falling week after week. Now, this could potentially be a good short sell because PayPal seems to be gone below the 50 period moving average line and the 200 period moving average line, and on a weekly time frame. So yeah, like it's a good short sell. Is it a good buy? Are you buying it at a good low level? No, because the earnings that came out for PayPal too, it did not really do terribly, but it did bad. Like, though it's like a 0.95% of like not meeting expectations, the markets punishes you a lot. And that's what we've seen since post earning results. Now, look at the monthly. Again, the monthly too, it's gone below the 50 period moving average line. So I'll stay away from it. No touchy PayPal. Maybe short sell it. Again, is it a good time to short sell it now? Maybe wait for it to kind of like breathe a little because it's gone down so much in this particular month. It may decide to rest. So it's if you're trying to short sell it closer to the moving average line. So what I mean by that is this would be a good point to short sell or around here, or if it breaks this, short sell here. Don't short sell here because it's already so far from the 200 or any of the moving average lines, so it'll kind of bounce back and then go down further. So that's a different video. Let's look at another stock. Now that we looked at all the negative, let's look at some positive stocks that the few lights in all this darkness. So Costco is one of them that's done okay-ish, nothing great, but it's gone up 6% for this particular week. And is this a good time to buy Costco? Honestly, Costco is like, a good company. I have a personal Costco membership and it's like, I really love it. I do a lot of my groceries from there. So I do recommend it. Is this a good time to buy it? I think so. Like it's, as long as it's close to the 20 period moving average line, you can't go wrong. You could probably buy it around maybe now. No, nothing wrong with it. Start small and then scale up. So I would say buy now. The second time you'd buy it is if it goes above this particular line, the 521, then you put your second buy position there. Your stop loss would be somewhere below it. So maybe keep it around below 500 would be a good stop loss. So in that way, you have potential to make money, but it'll be a trading stop loss. So you can keep capturing profits as it goes up. So yeah, Costco, I would say in my books is a good buy and would have a less of a chance of you losing money in the long term because it's a really strong company to invest in, and it's got good fundamentals as well. Another positive company for the week is American Express, where like Visa and MasterCard, they're all kind of like plummeting down. Like finance is not doing so well compared to nothing's doing well right now, but American Express seems to be overachieving itself. So as you can tell, is it a good time to buy it right now? I would say no. It's like too high in the sky. I would say the 50 period moving average line would be a good long-term buy investment. So right now, it has done its hard work of going up from the 158 to the 194 mark, and now it's just going to head downwards. Or it may just take a breather and consolidate for some time. And that could be a good time to buy in. So maybe if it consolidates to the 186 mark and comes down a little bit, then that's when you can go ahead and buy it. So don't worry about it right now. Like, just keep it at the back of your mind. If you ever watch this, just write American Express there, Costco there. And there's a lot more, but I just don't want to like inflate this video up. So with that, thank you so much. I hope you got some tidbits, what's in store for this week, what's in store in a few stocks. Do write in the comments down if you would like me to touch on your particular stock. Maybe you have it in your portfolio and you're wondering, is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? Or should I average up, average down? Just write me a comment and I'll make a special video just for you on your special stock. So with that, thank you, and I'll see you in my next video.